Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm leaving. No, not on a jet plane. But my bags are packed and ready to go. I got my suitcase in here, my camera bag, and I even got my drone in there. Not sure if I'll use that anywhere, but my wife and I are taking a trip. First road trip we've taken in about 12 years. So this should be interesting. We're going to start out in Ohio. Got a wedding to go to. My nephew's getting married. So we're going to start there. Then we're going to continue on to the Niagara Falls. I'm going to take my wife over the falls in a barrel. And if we survive that, then we're going to continue on through Canada over to Mackinac City, Michigan. We're going to go out to Mackinac Island for a day. And then after that, we're going to continue on. And we're going to go to the Pictured Rocks in Upper Michigan for a day there. And go out on the boat cruise and stuff. And then we're going to end up back in Amberg, Wisconsin. Our second home. So follow along with us on our trip, and we'll share some of our fun with you. I'm going to do things a little different. Everybody has Niagara Falls videos out there showing the stuff at Niagara Falls and stuff, and I have that too. But I'm going to add some stuff. I'm going to add a list of all our expenses so that if you're planning on taking this trip, you can see exactly what a trip like this costs. We stayed at hotels the whole time. We ate out. We ate at places like Hard Rock Cafe, TGI Fridays, those type of places. We did do a steak joint one night in Canada. Very expensive over there. I don't know that you want to do that. We took our CRV, 35 mile per gallon car, so the gas wasn't that bad. And this will help you if you're planning on taking a trip like this. It'll give you an idea of what it's actually going to cost. And I even included cash on here, so it should be a pretty good breakdown of everything you're going to spend. So the first part of our trip, we went to Ohio. The real reason we went to Ohio was for my nephew's wedding. So the place was called Pretty Prairie Farm. I don't know if you can see the overview of the picture there. But very nice place. The photographer made his own YouTube video. So I'm not going to do much. I got a couple of screenshots of the place, but I'm not going to do much with that. You can there's a link here. You can go and watch the video if you want and see what this venue looks like. It was very well kept up, very well maintained. The only issue we had with it was 95 degrees. So you can imagine everybody in suits and ties and stuff at 95 degrees. It was uncomfortable, to say the least. But that had nothing to do with the venue. You're in a barn. He had a big fan in there, a lot of air moving and stuff, but it still was hot. So that ain't their fault. That's just the time of year it was. So first part of our trip, we're staying in Ohio. We stayed at the Courtyard Marriott for 2 nights there. It was $159 a night. Nice hotel, nice area around it. Downtown Springfield has a lot of older buildings. and I got some video of those. They have a farmer's market every weekend. So a very nice little area there in downtown Springfield. So we're gonna just roll you through Springfield and see what you think of it. All right, so the next part of our trip is we went from Springfield, Ohio. We went up around the lake to Niagara Falls, New York. I was there when I was a kid, so I don't remember a lot of it. But I was kind of, the area is a big city. You're almost attached to Buffalo, so I kind of didn't realize that it was such a big city area. But you get down to where the state park is in Niagara Falls, New York, and everything is very nice down there. We stayed at the Comfort Inn, the Point, it's called. It was only about 100 yards from where the trolley picks you up in the state park. So we walked out the back door of the hotel and we went right down to the trolley. Got on the trolley. We could ride anywhere in the park. It took us up to the Discovery Center, to the aquarium area. It took us over to Goat Island. Really, about as convenient as you could get. We did not drive at all. Once we got to our hotel, the car sat there for 2 days. We did not drive at all. We took either the trolley or they have a city shuttle that takes you up around and goes up to the old fort and other places like that. So for the state park itself, on the U.S. side, we bought the Discovery Pass. The Discovery Pass includes pretty much all the attractions: Cave of the Winds, the Maid of the Mist, the Discovery Center, the aquarium. So if you got kids that's probably the way to go. I want to say it was $46. So the Discovery Pass was $47 each, and that included all those attractions. I thought that was a pretty good value. So we spent a whole day doing just those things for $47, and that includes the trolley. The trolley is an all-day pass. You gotta get a little wristband, and you ride the trolley all day, no matter how many times you get on or off it. It's all included in that pass. So to me, that's the way to go. And then while you're doing the attractions in between there, you do your sightseeing, you take your pictures, and you get up on the observation deck above the Maid of the Mist. You can take some good pictures from up there, and it's pretty neat. I thought the U.S. side was pretty well done. It was clean. Everything was clean. It was inexpensive. Canadian side, not so much. We went over for one day over to the Canadian side. We stayed at the Oaks Hotel over there. Very expensive Oaks Hotel. Did not have very good view of the falls. Their pictures on the internet show the whole falls, the whole bowl on the Canadian side. Yeah, we couldn't see that. And you'll see the pictures. We could see the tops of the trees and we could see the rim. That was it. So we were very disappointed for what we paid. The Oaks Hotel was $457 for one night. And that did not include the $35 parking fee they charge you on top of your hotel fee. U.S. side didn't charge me parking. So I wasn't real impressed with the Canadian side. The view of the falls on the Canadian side is fantastic. It's way better than on the American side. But other than that, everything is the same over there. The going beneath the falls, Cave of the Winds is awesome, I thought. So, I don't see what the attraction is on the Canadian side except to go over there and take pictures. Clifton Hill, it's kind of like a amusement slash stores slash whatever. Not for me. If you got kids, maybe, but it's not for me. So we basically went over to the Canadian side and we walked along the falls, took a lot of pictures, because we already did the Maid of the Mist, we already did the Cave of the Wind, so we didn't do the stuff on that side. And the boats are the same. They're just a different name on the side of the boat. So there's no reason to go over there except to take pictures. So if I were going to do it again, I would stay in my hotel on the U.S. side, and then for one day I would drive over there and do my picture taking on the Canadian side, and then I would come back, and I would stay on the American side. It is what it is. That's my take on it. If you have a family, it might be different, But for me, I enjoyed the American side better. And the restaurants, price is price. Some of the stuff was kind of pricey over there. We went to a steak joint. For my wife and I, it was $80 on the Canadian side. I thought that was a little pricey compared to what I'm used to paying here in Wisconsin. So let's go take a trip through the Niagara Falls once, and we'll see what you think. When we first got to the falls, we decided to walk for a bit. We went down to the observation areas on the American side. So here you can see the American Falls in the Canadian skyline. You don't have a very good front view of the falls, but yet you can stand right up next to the water almost and feel the power of the falls. So we continued walking along the American Rapids to get to the bridge. This stretch is called the American Rapids. They claim if you fall in at the bridge, you got about 3 minutes and you're over the falls. That's how fast the water is moving here. So we continued to walk over the bridge to Goat Island. This is probably only a half mile or so walk, but in 90-degree weather and high humidity, it wasn't very much fun. So on this side now, on the south side of the American Falls, you can see the observation deck off in the distance there, and you can get right up next to the water here also. So this is the Bridal Veil River, which drops over the Bridal Veil Falls onto the hurricane deck. This is the view from above the hurricane deck. We continued walking some more over to the Horseshoe Falls. On the American side, you really don't get a very good view of the Horseshoe Falls. You can walk right up next to the water, but as far as seeing the whole bowl and the mist, you can't really get a good view of it unless you go on to the Canadian side. Day 2 at Niagara. We decided to use our Discover Pass and go on some of the attractions. So my recommendation is get to the Cave of the Winds early, like about 8:30, and get in line, because that seems to be the one that has the longest line to get your passes validated. The problem with that is that the shuttle isn't running yet at 8:30. The shuttle doesn't start until 9 o'clock. So you're going to have to walk over there or drive over there to the parking lot on Goat Island, and then take the shuttle from there to come back to the park, and later in the day go pick up your car. So we decided to walk over there at 8 in the morning, get in line. We got on the first trip down to Cave of the Winds. It fills up fast. You can set a time. You can set an appointment for each time slot during the day. If you want to get over there early and then set up for, say, 11 o'clock, you can do that, and then come back at 11 o'clock and take your trip down into the Cave of the Winds. So we decided to just go, as long as we were over there, we decided to just go on the first one at 9 o'clock. Cave of the Winds actually gets its name because there actually was a cave back in the day under the falls where you could actually walk under the falls itself. And sometime back, I want to say it was in the 60s, the falls caved in and destroyed the cave. When I was there in 1969 as a kid, the American Falls were shut down. There was no water going over them, and they were inspecting the wall of the falls, and they were trying to figure out what they could do to it to stop the erosion and stop the rocks from breaking off the falls. What they determined, and this was told to us by the people on the trolley and all the other attractions, they have little videos and stuff, that they determined that all them rocks sitting at the bottom of the American Falls are actually holding up the wall of the falls, or helping to hold up the wall of the falls. So they decided to just leave them there, and that's how the American Falls is now today. And by controlling the water levels, they can control the water levels now. They turn the water levels down at night, and they can control the erosion, or at least slow it down, so that it doesn't continue to break away. Now you see everybody wearing these yellow rain suits. They give you those rain suits and they don't do much. They'll keep you dry unless you go up on the hurricane deck. If you go up on the hurricane deck, you're going to get wet no matter what. They also give you a pair of sandals, and that's why you see everybody carrying a little bag. That's their actual shoes in the bag. So it's my recommendation you wear an old pair of tennis shoes and just forget the sandals.
See why they call it the hurricane deck? You're gonna get soaked. Wind is tremendous.
So here's a picture of my wife on the hurricane deck. Be prepared, you are really going to get wet if you go all the way to the end of the hurricane deck. So then after that, you wind your way back down and you go back up the elevator, back up to the top. And believe it or not, the water was actually very warm. July 4th weekend, I guess it's hot enough out. I assumed being Great Lakes water that it was going to be ice cold like Lake Michigan usually is, but it wasn't. It was actually very warm. The water is in the river for quite a ways before it gets to the falls, and they say that helps warm the water up before it goes over the falls. Our next attraction was the Maid of the Mist. Now the Maid of the Mist boat takes you past the American Falls and right up into the bowl of the Canadian Falls, where again you will get wet, and they give you rain suits. But the wind and the strength of the falls creates such a wind and a mist that you are being pelted constantly when you get up close to the falls. Now, I suppose that all depends where you stand on the boat. We decided to stand right in the very front of the boat. So we got pretty wet on that one also. Here you can see the catwalks for the Cave of the Winds attraction. Now they say they take these down every year and then rebuild them again in spring because the ice is so bad that it would destroy the decks. So that must be one big undertaking to remove all those planks and all them 2x4s that hold this all up and then reinstall it again in spring.
We're entering the Horseshoe Falls. There we go. We're in really turbulent water. I'd hate to go swimming in this.
How is a seagull flying that?
Wind is blowing so hard I can't see a thing. Going right up against the falls. around it.
I see why they call it a horseshoe walk now.
Yeah.
It's raining, you gotta be kidding me. This is bad. This is very bad.
After going on the Maida to Mist, you want to leave your rain suits on because you can go up the north side of the American Falls. Very similar to Cave of the Winds. A lot of mist blowing in your face. It's kind of a steep climb up with some stairs, but it's neat to do. Before you leave the Maida to Mist, they'll take you up in an elevator and you can go out on the observation deck. This is the view from the observation deck looking over the gorge and the American Falls.
Literally, I keep this camera.
Day 3, we started out by driving over the bridge to Canada. Here's a skyline view of the Canadian side. Our hotel is the one in the middle. So after that, we drove down the gorge and we went on the Aero Car. The Aero Car goes over what they call the whirlpool, except there was no whirlpool there, and I don't know if that was caused because the water was low that particular day we were there. But I remember when I was a kid, I remember there was an actual whirlpool there. So there was some reason that the whirlpool wasn't there. There's a lot of water coming down, and where the river takes a bend, that's supposed to create the whirlpool. So you can also see the jet boats here. We didn't go on the jet boats. The jet boats were like $70 a person, which I thought was kind of outrageous for what you get out of them. So we skipped the jet boats. So we continued up the gorge to the Floral Clock. Somebody put a lot of work into this thing. It's very beautiful. All flowers planted to make the design. After that, we went down by the Canadian Falls, by the visitor center there, and we started walking again. And we walked all the way along the falls. It's not too far, maybe a half mile or so. You walk down, and then you get to Clifton Hill.
There's the famous Niagara Falls rainbow.
Before leaving Niagara Falls, I wanted to show you our room here. Not a very big room, and we were supposed to have a falls view. The view is not very spectacular at all. I can see a little bit of the rainbow. You can't hardly see the American Falls, and you can't see hardly any of the bowl. I can just see the upper rim of the falls. Not what I would consider a falls view. Did not match the pictures they showed us on the internet before booking the hotel. Not to mention the $35 fee.
This is the view 4 floors higher from where we're at. Makes a huge difference, a couple of floors.
So all the lights and everything were plugged into one outlet. So I had to shut the lights off, unplug the lights in order to plug my computer in. Not very well equipped here at the Oaks Hotel.
After Niagara Falls, we drove through Canada over to Michigan, and we went to Mackinac City, and we stayed 2 nights there. We stayed at the Court Plaza Inn in Mackinac City, and for 2 nights it only cost us $339. So that's a lot cheaper than staying in Canada for 1 night. But anyhow, we took the boat out to the island, to Mackinac Island. Very nice. Everything was very clean there. For as busy as it was that week, during the week there, 4th of July, we were there. It was kind of quiet. It was not real busy and crazy like over by the Niagara Falls. It was kind of quiet, easy to get on the boats. I had no issues getting on the boats right away and going back and forth to the island. On the island, if you're a history buff, that's a good thing to go over there. There's a lot of history there. Other than that, it's a lot of stores, shops, fudge, caramel corn, that type of stuff. When we got there in the morning, we got there over there about 9 o'clock in the morning. The streets were almost bare, and we took about a 2-hour or whatever carriage ride. It's only horses. There's no cars over there. Horses or bicycles. So we took about a 2-hour carriage ride, and when we got back into the downtown area, it was packed. So we got there at a good time. We got there early, got on our ride right away. So then we did a little bit of shopping here and there, and then we came back. And it was a very nice place. Like I say, well kept up, very clean. I would recommend it. I don't know that it's for young kids. There's not a lot for them to do. But for adults, it's a nice, quiet trip there. So then after that, we went to the Pictured Rocks in Munising, Michigan, which is Upper Michigan. We went over the big bridge there, the Mackinac Bridge, and we went up to the Pictured Rocks in Munising. We just spent the day there. We went through the national park. We took the boat ride out on the Lake Superior. Very pretty, very good scenery. You like taking pictures of stuff, that's a good trip to take. Don't know that you need to spend more than a day there unless you're into the camping thing. There's a lot of campsites there in the national park. A lot of hiking trails where you can actually hike down to the beaches and get out by those rocks if you're the adventurous type. But the boat ride was very nice. Water was calm, no rough lake or nothing. A lot of kayakers out there. I bet you there was 100 kayakers out there on Lake Superior that day that we were out there. So then after that, we drove back. We got down to our place in Amber, and that was the end of our trip. So let's take you through the last leg of our trip here through Mackinac City and Mackinac Island and the Pictured Rocks, and enjoy.
Hi, Beauty. Hi, Beauty. And on the right, we have Spanky. Everyone say hi, Spanky. Hi, Spanky. All right, now a little bit. Names of all the island residents that have served from the Civil War to the current Iraq-Afghanistan conflict. And as we're
taking a walk to the long slide lookout in Pictured Rocks National Park. It's about a half-mile walk. Yeah, you definitely don't want to climb down there. You never get back up, that's too steep.
This is Chapel Cove. Have any folks ever done anything like this before? No, this would need their wave. They put there was like around 15 feet of water and the boat draws 60.
that's it for our journey. Again, I said I was going to give you a list of all our expenses for this trip. So here's our list. Includes pretty much everything, including cash. And the cash was spent for whatever, gas, food, whatever we needed when we were in the parks and whatever. That's what the cash was spent on. Otherwise, everything else was, paid for with a card. The hotels and all that stuff. So you'll see that it wasn't that expensive. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep tuning in to Amberg Acres and make sure you subscribe. This is Mark Klein. Thanks for watching.